Now, you actually got to work with Crash Hawley, and you guys did a bunch of different angles where you guys would attack him in hotels, airports, and like circuses and places like that. What was your favorite place that you guys did those angles?
I'm going to have to, well, yeah, I mean, obviously for me it was Newark Airport because I won the belt in Newark Airport. But I think the most fun, I mean, we had a guy named Tommy Blanchard who was a writer. He was in charge of a bunch of different wrestlers. He handled the Mean Street Posse a lot, and this guy used to laugh. I mean, we would be say in Madison Square Garden leaving with our bags, and he'd be in the corner giggling, and he would say, "Gas, come here," and he'd call us over, and he'd say, "Next week we're in Philadelphia, and we're going to be at a circus, and we're going to do this, this, and this," and then he had all these ideas already ready to go before the Thursday meeting that he had. And he had so many plans for us, and, I guess for me the most fun and the most entertaining one was actually the one at the circus because we were really starting to do a lot of comedy at that point, and we were going from being heels, and the more comedy we did, we noticed we were starting to become baby faces. And at WrestleMania, when we came out for that hardcore match, we actually got cheered more than we got booed because we were doing so much hardcore stuff. And our characters became funnier, like as they become more, of a comedy role, people started to like us even more. Then, being backstage and telling guys like Chris Benoit, that we run things around here and blah, blah, blah. I mean, yeah, people wanted to see us get our asses kicked, and like they wanted to see us get our asses kicked against Briscoe and Patterson. It was one of the highest rated 15-minute segments in cable history, and that was another honor. But, to me, it was like when we were doing comedy, I think that's one thing that WWE should go back to and do a little bit more. I'm not saying make the whole thing a comedy skit, a Saturday Night Live thing, but put some good comedy. Make people laugh. Like Santino Morelli, whatever his name is. I mean, I think he's hysterical. You need to bring more of that stuff back. I can't stress that more. I think it makes it so much more entertaining.
Oh yeah, I would have to agree with you. Now, around the same time you feuded with Crash, you were actually offered a 3-year contract and ultimately got sent back to the developmentals to sharpen up on your skills. Were you okay with the decision to have them send you to developmental?
You don't have a choice. You do what they say. They're paying your check. And actually, what happened was when we first started, our first year we were training in Stanford for the first year, and then what happened was eventually they said, there's only so much we can teach you in a gym, basically in a studio with a ring. You need to keep performing in front of live audiences. So they sent the 3 of us to Memphis. So when we weren't on television, we were traveling. We were doing shows in Oxford, Mississippi. We were doing shows in Arkansas, Jonesboro, Arkansas. We were doing stuff all in that whole Mid-South area, and we needed the training. You can't just, I mean, for us we had an opportunity which not many people ever have. You don't go from renting star trailers to production companies to all of a sudden performing at WrestleMania. It just doesn't happen like that. Those opportunities are 1 in a billion. And for that, you have to learn how to, the philosophy of a match. You need to know how to take bumps. You need how to do spots. But working a crowd and working the microphone and all that stuff, you have to practice it somewhere. We had to go to developmental. There was no question about it, and we had to pay our dues somehow. And that's basically, other than getting our heads bashed in, that's the other way we paid our dues.
What are your memories of working for Memphis Championship Wrestling?
I loved it, and I tell people all the time I could move back there. I absolutely loved Memphis, Tennessee. I had a great time. We did what happened. We would fly back from whatever city we were traveling, and we'd come back on a Wednesday, and I basically would get off the plane, go to the gym, work out, we'd do a couple things, and then Joey Adams and I would get in his pickup truck or my truck and drive down to Oxford, Mississippi, to Old Miss, and we would wrestle in a pool hall. And then Thursday would be a training day. We would all go in there and we'd work on new moves. We'd look at old videotape. We were always taught. By then, my trainers in Memphis, we started out with Jim the Anvil Neidhart, from there, Steven Regal came in, and I learned a lot from Steven Regal. He's a true professional. He's an amazing person. He was just getting his life back in order from his vices that he had, and Vince gave him an opportunity. He wanted him to train, and then eventually he got called up himself. But he taught us a ton in Memphis. So we would do a show on Friday night for Memphis Championship Wrestling then, and then Saturday mornings we would do a live event on television for Jerry Lawler and Power Pro Wrestling, and then Saturday night we'd do another show. Sometimes we'd do 3 shows in a day for Memphis Championship Wrestling. So we were really busy, and it had really helped. And people saw that. People saw that up at the show at WWE. They saw that we were getting better with each week because we were working on different things. And I would have questions. I'd go to Edge and I'd say, "Hey Edge, what do you think of this?" Or I'd go to Taker, who's one of my favorite people of all time, and I would be like, ask Taker what he thought of this, and get to pick people's brains who are, if not the best, some of the best ever. It's just that opportunity. Not many people at all have that opportunity.
I would have to agree with you. Now my co-host Viper has a question, so Viper, go ahead.
Yeah, what are your memories of working in Puerto Rico with Mosh and D'Lo Brown?
I had so much fun with those guys. They're great. I remember when I got sent there, I had mixed emotions about it. I was like, why am I being sent to Puerto Rico? I had no idea why they were sending me, and they were splitting up the Mean Street Posse. I know that they had told me that they wanted me to become more of a high flyer. They wanted me to become something that just something where I was more impressive, and they wanted me to work with Savio Vega. So we came in, the 3 of us came in. It was me, D'Lo, and Chaz, who was Mosh from the Headbangers, and we came in as the White Angels, and they had masks on us, and no one was supposed to know. And then we came in as real big baby faces, and we finally took off our masks, and the crowd went crazy. And we worked these angles, and then eventually they split us up because they really wanted us to tone this stuff up. And I was getting phone calls from a guy named Dennis Brent, I'll just say he's a fucking liar. He told me that he was going to, tell me stuff like, Shane McMahon's taking over WCW. You're going to be with him. They're going to call you up. That's what you're going to do. We're going to have this whole character. You're going to bust out of the Pete Gas, Mean Street Posse character into a whole new thing, and we have big plans for you. And, there's a whole bunch of things that he was blowing smoke up my ass about. But then, but to answer your question, as far as those guys, I lived with them. We drove to all the shows. We ate together, and I still keep in touch with Chaz. D'Lo and I've kind of, we haven't kept in touch that much, but I talk to Chaz every month, 2 months, whatever. And I had the best time with him, and I'm still very close friends with him to this day.